So those who miss what we're doing can check it out later. I'll post it on YouTube. So, but anyway, I want to welcome you. Thank you for joining me as we get together and talk a little bit about what's going on and um, find out what you're doing and what kinds of things you could possibly need from the Midwest and from ACM National. I will tell you that we have, let me just grab my notes here, that we have an appointed board, which will start meeting to look into things that are going on in the region. That board consists of Scott Maloff, John Hines, Jeremy Crosby, Bonnie Schumacher, Jim Knightright, Benjamin Vinar, and myself. And Javier Cedello, sorry, from Minneapolis. So at current, I am the board chair, and I am also the region rep to ACM National. My plan as of now is to step down at the end of January. So if you are interested perhaps in joining the region board and helping us put things together, you are more than welcome. You can let me know. The board is meeting next Monday at 10 a.m. And I see Ben has joined us. How you doing?
Good.
Excellent. But things are, so we're starting to move in that direction. We've also been in contact with Mary Cardona about the upcoming WCM ACM Regional Conference, which is going to be held in Eau Claire, beautiful Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And that is, I got it marked down, May
16th and 17th.
16th. Oh, okay, May 16th and 17th. And also, Mary, do you want to speak for a sec about that and about the Best of the Midwest Festival?
Sure. So Best of the Midwest Media Fest, we're soliciting entries right now. See if of course I'm not prepared. The first deadline is early January. Let me just get those dates up for you. The first early bird deadline is January 5th, and the regular deadline is January 26th. And we're using Film Freeway for the first time. And so we're pretty excited about that. Right now we're collecting judges. We still need about a half a dozen judges. So if you're interested, I think everybody who's done it in the past has really enjoyed it. It's been very interesting for people to see the work of others doing PEG around the country. So if you'd like to join us, I don't know, Ross, you usually do.
Yes, and I will do it again.
Okay, what about your people?
Probably. Let me just double check that, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure they like doing it too. So
good. Okay. Yeah, we appreciate you guys doing it every year. But we definitely need a few more. So if you're interested at all, please let us know. So you'll be using the Film Freeway platform, which is apparently, I know, what ACM uses every year. So if you've done that before, it'll be easy for you. let's see. So the conference program committee is going to start meeting next week. We are going to be developing a survey that will go out to ACM and WCM members and asking them what they would like to learn about at the conference. That committee includes Jeremy and Ross. We're still, and John. You guys are really busy.
You think?
I am trying to find one more WCM member to serve on the committee. So I will be there for the development of the survey, and then starting in January, our new executive director, Candace Diaz, will be taking over that committee. So that's pretty exciting. My last day with the organization is the 22nd of December. I imagine doing a little bit of file cleaning over the Christmas holiday. Oh, you don't even want to know. I mean, there's boxes. Anyway, but yeah, so that will be it for me. Let me see, is there anything else? I'm excited about the Eau Claire location. I'm hoping we bring in some Minneapolis area folks to the conference because it'll be so close to where they are. So if you can talk it up to people in that area, please, please do. So I don't have any theme yet for the conference. It will be at the Lismore Hotel, which is a really nice, really nice looking hotel right in downtown Eau Claire. So it should be a really fun location. Eau Claire is also not only in a beautiful area of the state, but it's also known for its great music scene. We have really low hotel rates 3 days before and 3 days after the conference. So if you wanted to come up and make kind of a nicer weekend of it, you could. It's also the graduation weekend for UW Eau Claire. So if you are interested in staying over the weekend, you should probably make your hotel reservations pretty quickly because they're not holding a huge amount of rooms for us.
Oh, okay.
Over the weekend.
Mary, what did you say the dates were? I'm sorry.
May 16th and 17th. Okay. And I will be there.
Yay.
And I don't know, I guess that's the main stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to publicly thank Mary for everything she's done to help community media grow, and especially, of course, in Wisconsin. I've known Mary for what, 30 years, something like that.
Pretty much the entire time I was making money from Social Security.
Yes. And I'm going to be sad not to see her on as regularly as I usually would, but I just want to tell you that I appreciate everything you've done. And
thanks.
So thank you.
It's going to be weird not to be plugged into this network as strongly as I have been. I don't know what I'm going to do in my next life. I might still work on the WCM program fund stuff because I really love the idea of developing programming.
Mm-hmm.
So I might still be doing stuff.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's kind of hard to let it all go, you know. So I might still be sort of around, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much. Anybody have a question or anything about the upcoming conference? If not, I encourage you to take the survey, and if you're interested in presenting as well, it's a good opportunity, and it's a good way to meet people from around the region who are doing the same sort of things you're doing. So I definitely suggest that you check it out. Okay. Since I guess Mike got held up, so I want to touch basically on HR 3557. Is everybody familiar with that, with exactly what that is? yeah, I know I know a lot of you are, but basically to recap, what it does basically is it takes away the right of uh, franchise authorities to it takes away cable franchise renewals, among other things. It means that in perpetuity the telecommunications companies can uh, continue to re-up cable agreements without the permission or input from uh, municipalities or counties, depending on how that would work. I'm going to read this just for a second. Um, grants a cable operator the unilateral right to terminate or modify a franchise, but creates no obligation to remove a cable system from rights of way. And as a result, it will eliminate cable franchise fees, but allow the operators to maintain other services. It would also allow operators to unilaterally eliminate provisions of contracts they deem commercially unfeasible. And basically what that means is, since they do not make money off of PEG operations, they can eliminate those from their systems. Um, as I said before we started meeting, I spent Friday morning going around to some different uh, congressional offices to try to convince people of the dangers of 3557. And I've received mostly positive reviews about that, but it is so important that you get a hold of your congressional representatives, an email, a phone call, a letter, anything you can do to let them know that how harmful this this particular act is. You can, if you go to the ACM website at allcommunitymedia.org, you can actually see a copy of it, and there is also a one sheet that that highlights the dangers of this particular bill. And I definitely encourage you to send that one, print off that one sheet and send it off to your congressional people so they know exactly what is being threatened in this bill.
I thought that was you.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
the
One of the things that I've been trying to get clarity on, though, is that I believe the bill says something about they have to retain the mixed quality and level of service. And I thought there was some exceptions around PEG in terms of, I don't know if it was just in terms of how, I don't know. It just seemed like there was some exceptions, and I would really like it if Mike could go into more in depth into the PEG channel aspect, because it's not clear to me that they could just say, oh, PEG channels are a pain in the butt, and so we're not going to do that anymore.
right.
I guess I just didn't really get that from the bill. And if it is in the bill, I'd like to for sure know about it. But that's not, I don't know. I didn't really get that impression.
Well, it does say that the local communities would not be able to enforce their franchise obligations, including build out, customer service, and PEG operations. But I will, and again, I was hoping Mike would be here today, but
Yeah.
I will pass that on to him.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would just really like more clarity on that.
Sure.
And show where in the
Thanks
bill,
again.
where in
Appreciate
the
it.
bill we're talking about, where, show me the line item,
Yes.
where it is.
I will say that this bill is buried it was buried into appropriations bill. Um,
Mm,
and so I'm sure there are a lot of people who would vote on it, a lot of Congress people who would vote on it without even realizing it was there. And so it's got to be our job to make them realize that that it's there. So, but
So,
I'll
yeah,
ask,
so let me just clarify what I'm saying too is that
yeah,
I'm not saying that PEG is not in danger at all. I know that what they could do is reduce support for PEG and all that kind of thing. I just don't know that they could completely, I mean, maybe for a lot
right,
of, I mean, we've been living on fumes for so long,
right,
that we just kind of take it for granted. And I know that living on fumes for a lot of you is not something you're used to. But I would just like some clarity on exactly what could happen to PEG channels under this bill. And I didn't hear that it was buried in the appropriations bill.
yes,
That's big. So,
yes.
so what appropriations bill is this?
I'm afraid I don't know offhand. I know it was buried in it, and again, I'm going to have to defer to Mike to let you
Okay,
know about that. But I will have him contact you, and
okay,
he can give you some clarity on that.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
so again, please contact your representatives and tell them that you know what's happening and that basically this bill sucks. So so that's something that's very important. Um, the second thing I want to talk about is the Protecting Community Television Act. It is HR 6219 and Senate Bill 3361, introduced and authored by Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts and Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. On the rep side, Anna Eshoo of California, Pete DeFazio of Oregon. Right now, there are 15 co-sponsors in the Senate and 33 co-sponsors in the House. Um, Basically, what this bill does is it defines franchise fees as monetary payments, not non-monetary franchise obligations. You may remember that a couple of years ago, the FCC um, looked at a ruling that would make things like channel space and connections to the system from your operations as in-kind franchise fee payments. So that is contrary to the Cable Act, both of I believe it was 84 and 92. It's totally against those acts. And so what the act does is clarify that only monetary payments, not non-monetary franchise obligations, qualify as Cable Act franchise fees and are subject to a fee cap. Without that, of course, cable operator could create fees to drain away municipal revenues and pressure municipalities to give up or de-staff their channels. So this is something, once again, that we are continually looking for sponsors. I was told while I was in DC that nearly half the people who were original sponsors when this was introduced last year have not re-signed on to sponsor. So again, get a hold. There is a one sheet available on the ACM website. Please take a look at it, print it out and send it to your representatives and your senators, because this is something that will stabilize a lot of the funding that we use for our operations. I know in my particular case, the entire franchise fee comes to fund my operation. I get the entire 5%. I know that's a rarity. That's most places only get a portion of it. But to even lose that could spell the end, for PEG operations. So again, please talk to your representatives and your senators and get them to support HR 6219 and Senate Bill 3361. Are there any questions I can answer about that particular bill? If not, okay, that's cool. Well,
Is there a public policy call tomorrow afternoon?
Yes, there is a public part on Thursday. Yes, tomorrow. Sorry, I'm forgetting which day it is. Yes, there is a call at, I believe it's 3 p.m. Central. Let's just double check that real quick. Yes, 3 p.m. Central. There is a public policy call. And I would definitely suggest, if you can make it, to tune in, and Mike can give you a lot more background about currently what's going on with those two bills. So, all right. What I'd like to do is sort of go around the Zoom room and see what you guys are up to. What's happening in your center, in your community? What's the dealio? I'm going to start with Scott.
All right. The big news out of Sheboygan is that we are resuming sports production officially in 2024. However, we will be doing the first Sheboygan North versus Sheboygan South game on December 16th. So it's sort of an abbreviated basketball schedule because of the way our fiscal year is in the middle of the school year. But with the increase to shared revenue that the state provided municipalities when budget season came around at the city level, we were sort of encouraged, if you've got any sort of big asks, this is the year to put them in. So sort of on a flyer, I said, all right, I'd like to increase the salaries for my part-time staff, which is really where the expense for that is.
Right.
I mean, there's some equipment, but for the most part, we already have that purchased, or it's just maintaining and perhaps replacing some of them. But that's just sort of ongoing operational expense. And it was approved. So
Excellent.
I'm excited that we'll be able to offer that again. I have received calls from, citizens, or, get stopped at the grocery store, that sort of thing, saying, hey, why aren't you doing this anymore? And I just sort of have to sheepishly look at my shoes and say, well, it was a budget cut.
So when did you stop?
2019. Yeah, it was 2019 budget eliminated the funding because most of the games we do are the high schools. The city leadership at the time said, well, the school district ought to be paying for that, not the city. So they gave the school district the opportunity to set aside some money in their next budget, which runs July 1 through June 30, for that, which the school district then declined to do. So as of the end of June of 2019, we did not do regular sports production.
So when you say sports, what are you covering on December 16th, you said?
It's varsity basketball and football, and we usually do like the north-south softball and baseball games.
So it's December 16th.
It is the Sheboygan South at Sheboygan North, varsity girls and varsity boys.
What? Football? Basketball.
Basketball.
Are you able to generate any ad revenue?
We could. We've struggled to make that happen, but
Sure.
Theoretically we're capable of doing that.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Jeremy, what's going on in your place?
In Fitchburg, let's see, we finished off this year working on and are still working on it, leading the charge on a communications plan with the whole city and a guidelines piece. So Fitchburg had taken over another city recently that was kind of an attachment in the area that was split between Madison and us, and that kind of opened the door for some communication things. And somehow Fact TV walked right into that and got to lead a marketing plan on communications for residents to be informed on it, and it opened a lot of doors for us. And so I got to lead the charge here on, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but of communications of the city and how departments should communicate, getting information out, and how and why and everything else in between. So we're in the midst of putting that together, and I'll be wrapping that up in January. Then we just partnered back up with a local school district. Our city's kind of weird. We're in 3 school districts, Madison, Verona, and Oregon, and all 3 have PEG state. Well, Verona did have, I mean, they have a government side PEG station, but they all have their own PEG stations. And then Fitchburg just, we're here doing things. So it's been hard to get into the schools because of that, for various reasons and whatnot. But we've always had a good partnership with the Verona School District. So we're back in with the middle school, teaching kids how to get involved in news by training them with we have camera kits that we can drop off at the schools and train them and help them build the newscast within. So we're hoping that will lead to some good things. When we did it several years ago, it was a great way to get into the school district at the time and, show that we were interested and everything else in between. So that just started up yesterday. So it was nice to dust the camera kits off that we haven't really been checking out and get out there and move forward. We also do work with a charter school here as well, which is named Eagle School, on a similar fashion of providing them a camera kit that includes small camera, tripod, microphone, headphones, and then training on how to use that. They go out and film stories and put those on their local website, and then we share them on Fact TV as well. So it's been a good thing, and we're just happy to be starting that back up. And then just looking to head to next year, our focus, because of all the communication stuff, we're really, as a city, trying to work collaboratively to get out to the residents on the different ways that we communicate, which fits right in with what we want, all the stuff that we're doing. So we're trying to work on more of not coming up with new things necessarily, but really spending the time of telling people where and how you get information. Here at Fact TV, we do a daily newscast called Talking Fitchburg. We've done it for over 5 years now, and it works very well. It secured us funding way back when we were funded only on franchise fees, and our franchise fees in our area, for whatever reason, Fitchburg's was just dropping substantially, and we were eventually able to get on the tax roll within the last year and a half. And it was because of Talking Fitchburg and a lot of other things. But, community information is where it's at, and that's where we've centered ourselves. So we do government meetings and then community news and information. So moving ahead to next year, we're just really going to, hone in on really getting into neighborhoods and really trying to make sure that people understand what the city is communicating with them and how they can get it. And it's not just television, it's a wide variety of things. But for us, we've centered ourselves right in the middle of every communication piece that the city puts out. It's got to come through us. And it's a good thing, but it also brings on a lot of challenges as well. So looking forward to that. That's going to be it's a tough project, but it's way overdue to get out there and find new ways of reaching people to get them to find content. So it's a very unique city. And I think I mentioned this to Ross when he was in town. We have, and officially now, we have more renters in our city than we actually have homeowners, which is really crazy statistic. And so for a city that's rapidly developing like crazy and can develop a lot in the future, it's going to be interesting. So anyways, just kind of getting on that bandwagon.
I have a question.
Hmm?
You launched your daily news, did you say like 5 years ago? Did you do that because do you have a presence of other news, national affiliates? Like, do you have affiliate television stations in your community? Or was there a lack of that? Is that what prompted you to do this?
I was lucky and unlucky enough to work in CBS affiliate here in Madison. So Madison does have three
Okay.
stations here. As everybody's tried over the years, all of you are familiar with this. You're looking at funding, you're looking at ways of reaching people. Everybody has their challenges. When I took the job, or when I came here in 2010, the station, we started over basically. There was a director that was here for a long time, laid the foundation for what Fact TV is and had a good presence. We just started over with a rebuild. And within that, the franchise fees were going down. And when I took the manager role, I was told one thing is find funding or else. And, so from that, what we identified is we were out there in the community covering all of these events that were happening, and we were turning them into shows, and we were just putting them out there randomly and not with no rhyme or reason and no time, commitment to it. And what we realized was that it wasn't, we weren't having a lot of volunteers walking into our station. So that wasn't happening. We had set it up that way that people could come in. We were trying to get people to come in, but we were hardly getting people to come in. And because of the background that I had another person who I'd worked with in news as well. We had a newspaper here who was on the decline and was only putting out a once a month newspaper. We felt like we could come in and not only do Talking Fitchburg, but take everything we're doing and put it into a model where everything that comes in is funneled through Talking Fitchburg, but it also can be put out there on different levels. So it goes through the newscast, but it also goes out to be a sub show of another thing. And it worked. And I think the reason it works is we turn out things quicker and push it out through the social media and everything, and are just focused on community information and news. We're a government entity, so it does have its challenges. And I know I would encourage you to go and watch. Actually, I just saw it, Mary. I appreciate you putting it up. From the WCM conference last year, there was a roundtable discussion, and I shared the process on kind of how we got there. So that whole group discussion was a really good, if you're interested in kind of learning how the news entity kind of works. But anyways, that's kind of how we fell into it. So lack of information getting out there. Like I said, our
Yeah.
city's very unique. We don't have a downtown. We really just don't have a sense of community when you split 3 school districts apart. Everybody's doing their own thing. And so we took it as, you know what, Fact TV can sit in the middle of all of this and can grab information from all entities and share that information. And that's worked very well.
Great. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. John, what's going on in Iowa?
Yeah, welcome to the great state of Iowa, I guess. The one I'm representative here. But again, I'll just kind of, in case people don't remember, a little bit about what we do here. I'm a government-only channel. So I work for the city of Coralville. Kind of like what Jeremy said, actually, it's weird. We don't have a high school. It's technically Iowa City. And then Clear Creek, Amana is kind of a bigger, covers a ton of small little towns, but they're growing fast. And so again, same thing, we kind of have that issue where it's the city kind of loses not knowing within the state because of lack of high school sports, to be honest with you. No one knows because, Coralville doesn't go on to anywhere because they're part of another school district. So I know it's kind of, I hear what you're saying when you the city struggles with that, but majority of my job is really communication wise, just trying to keep things going, helping communicate different things that's going on in the city or new initiatives. The big one coming up next year is we're going to do single stream recycling. So that's going to be really huge for the community. They've been asking for it. I still don't think they quite understand how expensive it is. And so when their taxes start to be an issue, we'll see what happens there. But it will be much, much smoother, I think, with the recycling side, because it's always kind of a mess when there's recycling coming up. So my boss and I are working on how do we communicate that. I believe we have a grant for communications to help with that. So that's going to be kind of an interesting process next spring. Construction's always big. We're right on I-80. 83, 80 actually intersects. So we have a lot of big projects that are constantly going on, changing what's going on around here. So again, keeping that communication kind of up as things are going. On like the access side of things, when I came in, it's been almost 5 years now, this month actually, that I started here. The channel we have on MediaCom wasn't running. So when I started talking about like, hey, like I have experienced this, their server was just kaput. It's an old Cablecast server, which luckily I did have a lot of experience with Cablecast. I said, yep, we can get that up and running. So slowly over the first, couple months, we got it back up and running with a new server. And now we're on okay, what's a rotation plan? We talked a lot with Tightrope and said, all right, what do you guys recommend? Like how many years? When should I start planning? So we're going to do our first switch over from an old Violite server to a new one this winter. So that's really awesome to kind of do that. And just it's an easy way to keep our product constantly going. I've been testing out some closed captioning. Hasn't really been asked about, but it's always a good thing, I think, to be in the forefront. One of the neighboring communities is starting to run into some issues with that. More people raising the question, not actually needing it, but the people definitely need it, but they're raising the question kind of on an election side of things to try to they were trying to shut down some public forums by saying, oh, we can't put them on TV because we don't have closed captioning. And that was kind of a step back around here for that, in my opinion. So we're just trying to be in the forefront to have closed captioning. And I'd really like to see switching to other languages because we do have quite a diverse background of individuals, minorities, French speaking, Spanish speaking, and a slew of them. So it'd be nice to have that to offer to people, the city meetings and everything else. So yeah, we're just going to keep things rolling as that's concerned. But as far as like the actual public access, we don't have much of that here. Again, mainly just governmental stuff and communication. So that's really what I've been doing and keep working on. But I like what public access has to offer. I've worked many years in that realm before, so I understand the struggles. I'm a strong supporter of what the public access does. Franchise fees, it has been brought up to us. My department hasn't relied solely on that. It's a nice little, here's $40,000 that comes from, but I've seen it over the 5 years slowly decline. But we have new people coming in, new cable providers, high-speed internet providers. So that will be interesting to see if there's any push on that. Iowa's a little different. We have a state franchise, so it's not a local franchise by any means. Whatever the state says, that's what people pay. And we'll see what happens around that. But you know, yeah, I'm here for the fight to help whatever I can do to help out. So,
Okay. Thank you, John.
Yep.
Mary, what's going on in the Dakotas?
Well, I can't speak for South Dakota.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a whole lot going on down there as far as PEG operations, but here in Bismarck, we are a full-on PEG operation. So we do a lot of government meetings. Probably we're up to about 320 live meetings a year between school and park and city and county, both in Bismarck and then a smaller community across the river, across the Missouri. We've been operating 37 years. I've been with the organization as of next month, 24 years, so not quite as long as you, Ross. Getting up to your numbers. So some of the things that we're currently dealing with, I heard someone mention salaries, wages, having to adjust those, and we just took a big leap in that area. And I knew we had to, because it was hard keeping people and attracting good people to apply to some of those positions. It was pretty dismal. So it's like, you just got to bite the bullet and make it happen. And we had good support from our board and oversight from the commissioners who hold our portfolios, that they were totally on board with that. Also just wrapping up the end of the year stuff with reports and things like that. But we also this past year went through a strategic planning process with Sue Buskey and the Buskey Group. So that wrapped up in October. Well, I should say a little earlier. I think it was more like August, but our board's still been kind of digesting the strategic plan. And next week, they have their meeting and they'll finalize that. But when they were looking at the plan, they kind of rearranged some of the goals and basically said your staff structure needs to be looked at. And I agree. So we're in the process of kind of reevaluating job descriptions and all of that. But of course, one of the other big goals is diversify your revenue. You know, everybody's dealing with it. We're seeing our franchise fees drop. The city collects, both cities here collect those fees, and they give us a portion of those fees. Previously, we were up to, we were probably at 35% of the franchise fees collecting years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and now we're collecting about 70% of what they're giving us, allocating 70% of what they're collecting. So at some point, their collections are going to go and we'll be above what they're collecting. And I think the only thing I'd say positive about that is we have a pretty solid relationship with our government, the two city governments here, and again, park, schools, county as well. So our relationship is pretty solid with them, but you just don't know what's in the future. So that's one of the areas we're looking heavily at. Unfortunately, sports aren't an option for us. We have a provider. Well, first of all, our Mid-Continent, who's out of Sioux Falls, is the big cable operator in this region. And they've done collegiate sports for years and tournament sports. They control that market. And then we also have one of the co-ops, a modification from the old phone co-ops who are providing video services in outside city limits, and they've taken over all the high school sports. And that was probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago that they did that. So they're, if you want to call competition, they are a bit of competition for us in that respect. They do a lot of very local programming as well. The other challenge we have here is we moved into this facility 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in this past July it was. And we're still in the process of finishing out. The studio is not 100% complete. We do have the light grid up and the curtaining came in this summer. We're working on the control room. It's fully functional. It's just not done completely. So we really have maximum use in some of those areas. So our studios are coming along. We run a low power radio operation And that has been a huge boom since we moved into this building, because it's a really cool historic structure and it's big, and the radio room, the radio studio has its own space. We have PTZ cameras in those spaces. So we have a number of programs that are going out on video and podcasts, or, just, we have a lot of music producers. It's just really we've really escalated a lot of interest in that area. It's a good problem to have, but it's a lot of management in there. And we have some challenges technology wise, because we can't afford an engineer. So staff does their best trying to troubleshoot what's happening in there. Does anybody here have radio? Is anybody operating radio in this group? Okay. Because we can use all the help we can get. So we try and draw on, and we'll continue to seek out those low LPFMs around the country that have PEG also, and maybe we can get some information. The other question I have a piece of equipment I just sent to Adorama, a piece of unused switcher and a scaler that went with it. I had a previous production manager purchase this a couple of years ago, and we've never used it. It's brand new in the box. I sent it to Adorama. They just got back to me, and I'm getting, if I want to cash out this thing, I'm getting about 30% of what I paid for it. Does anyone else know of any options for used equipment like this?
Well,
Any ideas?
B&H does used equipment, and so does Media Concepts. Media Concepts specializes in used equipment. As to how much they're going to give you for your equipment, I don't know.
Okay.
You might want to check and see if there are some similar pieces on eBay and maybe try to sell it yourself. But those are the options that come to mind. Anybody else have thoughts about that?
I'd share it with just any of the ACM members or WCM members,
Yeah.
and see, because every once in a while we see some of that stuff get shared.
Yeah. It's brand new.
You might get a little bit more. I mean, but at least it's going to a good cause.
Yeah, put it on
the benefit with that. What's that, Ross?
Put it on the listserv.
Yeah, I think I might. The benefit with Adorama is I shipped it to them. They paid for the shipping, and they'll pay for shipping back, but I don't want to take their offer. So
yeah,
they just got it assessed. But again, it's brand new. It's in the box. It's a Roland switcher and a scaler that goes with it. It's about 10 grand purchased. So I'd like to get something for it. So yeah.
If you want to send me something, I'm putting out another member update in a couple of weeks. I could pop it in that. I don't know how fast you want the turnaround, but
that's all right. We've been sitting on it for a couple of years, Mary.
Yeah.
There is too, I know a lot of municipalities, including ours, use Wisconsin Surplus, which is an auction place, and we've had some pretty good success with that, although we just found out they changed their rules, and now that they don't let you just send anything there and drop it off. You gotta take your own pictures, do all the setup work, and they're just the middleman. Sort of like an eBay now. But anyway, there seems to be a lot of, we've recouped some things out of there, even with it being auctions. So Wisconsin Surplus, check that out.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
Okay, we're just about out of time. I wanted to see if Chris or Tony or Ben had something they wanted to throw out here real quick.
This is my first time on a call with you guys, completely new. I appreciate you guys sharing all your info. So I'm from the city of Aurora. We're around 200,000 residents here, second largest city in Illinois. So we're government PEG. So we're working in the mayor's office as a chief communications marketing officer. And then one of the divisions of my department, we're starting to build up, trying to beef up more, is our community, our PEG channel. So we're adding some more staff next year. So trying to beef it up to about 5 full-time with about 4 part-time here. we just revamped our whole studio, got all new equipment this year. I invested around $350,000 to $400,000 in equipment. So here just was looking for a group. Found you guys, found the
Excellent.
national chat, and I'm looking forward to getting some more information and sharing ideas and new best practices.
Great. Well, Tony, I run the government channel in Elk Grove Village. So
Okay, not far away then.
I'm
Okay.
not far away from you at all. So please,
right.
if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Chris or Ben, did you want to interject something real quick?
You can go first if you want, Ben.
Hey, I don't really have anything like major to share, but I don't know if everyone on this call knows I work for the city of Bloomington, Minnesota. We're the fourth largest city in Minnesota and have a pretty good retirement community here. So thankfully for us, our franchise fees and PEG fees have stayed pretty level the past like 5 years. And I'm sure they're going to decline pretty quickly here like everywhere else, but so far we're pretty well funded. Those fees fund all of communications here. So I'm in the communications division at the city here at City Hall. So it funds our print communications and our web communications and everything. And thankfully we do, like you, Ross, we get all of those fees sent here to communications. So, which is really nice. Don't have a whole lot of other major things to share other than that.
All right, thanks. Chris?
Great. I'm Chris Morgan. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself before. I'm the Midwest Regional Sales Manager for Cablecast by Tightrope. Just happy to meet everybody. I'm kind of new to the position. I've only been with Cablecast since March of this year, so a few familiar faces. I remember meeting you, Jeremy, at ACM in Brooklyn. Hope all is going well with your system and with your station. Great to hear. And if there's anything I can help any of you with any of our products or any questions you might have, happy to help in any way, and look forward to meeting you guys at the conference coming up this spring.
Excellent. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but I want to thank everybody for participating. As I said at the beginning, I'll be posting this on to YouTube. So if you want to see it again, it'll be there. But I want to wish you all happy holidays, and we'll let you know when the next one is coming up. And take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ross.
Thank you.